D.Va had been the most dominant character in Overwatch possibly ever, with a near ubiquitous pick rate throughout 2 different metas, both Dive and 3-3, but everything changed when the Fire Nation attacked. I mean, when Blizzard started nerfing her and power creep set in. Now, we'll try to explain in this video when you definitely do want to be playing D.Va and what she's still very good at. Luckily, in Overwatch, it's really hard for Blizzard to knock any hero so far down the totem pole so that they're unplayable or unusable, or the thing they do is never applicable. The game's complex enough for that not really to happen. But I very easily say that D.Va is not at the de facto best tank in the game. It's hard to play the game without her. Instead, it's kind of gone the other way, where you have to be pretty precise on the reasons why you're picking her as to not fall behind in value you could be getting on other picks. So what has happened? Well, the core problem of this has always been the case. D.Va as a character is an enabler that really gets actualized with a combination of teamwork. And that's the key. When your team is playing disciplined, which is to say only fighting when they really should be, then defense matrix amplifies in value. Right? We'll see pro teams oftentimes, the whole team avoiding damage altogether, nobody's peeking, then they all step out in one in sync, and they do what's called stacking, which is to say they stack up on top of each other, where your D.Va will be right behind your tank, and you both jump together in unison. This type of stuff is just completely foreign to anybody who plays the game. Below Masters and GM, I think, is fair to say. Where instead, for the rest of players, teammates are constantly taking bad peeks, and it can be really hard as a tank player to know, well, how do I use my very limited but super powerful resource when my team's playing this way? Well, when Defense Matrix was near boundless in its quantity and flexibility, I would still advise that if you learned how to play D.Va, you definitely could get out of that situation. But now I think it's kind of going the other way, where although, and I always have to leave asterisks in comments like these, but if you get really sick with D.Va, you probably still can get out of those situations, but that's not how people play ranked really, right? People want to rank up, which often means that they're looking for the fastest route to power to gain SR quicker, not necessarily learn the actual game or the best things in the game, which might have a stronger long-term effect for your growth as a player, but may not directly translate to instant SR gain. That's kind of the problem here, because for the majority of ranks, I'm going to say you want to be really careful when you're picking D.Va, because so many of the other tanks just get more consistent value, and probably more importantly, allow you to play the game in the way solo queue is played, in sort of a chaotic mismatch where people are struggling to sync up together. And oftentimes I find at lower ranks, players are playing heroes that may be the most optimal if your team played properly, but when they don't, it's forcing you to pick up the pieces and play on the back foot with a play style that doesn't work if they don't play properly, which is when you need to open up the playbook and go back to something else that's going to do a lot more for the team and actually carry them. I guess that's probably the simplest way to say. It's harder to carry as D.Va because she's been nerfed so many times that they're requiring her to be more and more of a supportive type character, which is the effect we should expect from top-down balancing. I do think it's better for the game to have top-down balancing. I just also want to be realistic about what that means for the entire player base. When a character is nerfed down to make sense in a full team context, well, obviously it's going to have much less value when there's no teamwork, right? I think that's fairly intuitive. And we've seen this trend happen with many other heroes. At the highest level of play right now, Sombra's probably the best pick. But she, just like D.Va, I think is really hard to play at lower ranks because so much sync between teammates is required to get that to work, which is kind of the key point that I'm trying to convey in this video, and we'll now elaborate on these points with some specific examples of what I mean. First example, and this happens to a lot of people in ranked, team comp's not very good. We have 3 DPS, but single heal, no shield, and Ana, who's just a terrible single healer on attack, by the way. So my first thought is, well, our Ana's just gonna die over and over, and that's the only healing we have if I don't ferry her through the choke. So I do that, but then we see they're playing a counter dive style, just come in and wreck us. Okay, fine. With this, I think the best call is, we're not saving the Ana. We might if we swap over to another pick that I think is now one of the best off tanks in ranked all of a sudden, and that's Roadhog. Might be hard for the Ana to get past the Widow line of sight, but as Roadhog, you actually can just stand your ground and make space for teammates with skill shots, which is an important thing to do in ranked in my opinion. Like if I just hook the ball, shoot him, and kill him, well, we win. And all the running around trying to protect teammates and helping out with damage isn't going to be as impactful as the space and threat that Roadhog makes. Anyway, knowing Ana's just gonna die for free and I can't stop it as D.Va, then I go aggressive, going out helping for duels and looking for trades, which, as long as if we stabilize, even after losing a fight, it's Anubis A, they're gonna have a long respawn, we should be able to take space on our next attack and be looking good. Now, when you're playing D.Va, one thing that I highly suggest you do is to try to find the right teammate to facilitate. So far in these fights, Junkrat's been oddly hitting a lot of shots. He's gotten a few kills already, and I've noticed he's been going at the sniper perch, which is an important area to take down, so we set up this cute little flank where I get defense matrix in on some important duels, and he hits his shots, but can't get shot either. You want to get a dive where you can lock down duels for your teammate and provide them infinite health to break open the defense. That's what you ideally want to see. Here I'm playing on my alt account, which I use for playing with friends, and we actually do get this to work. But you definitely can see the struggle that I'm talking about, where my team doesn't really know how to attack this map. We're all in bad ground at the same time, meaning that it is very easy for the defense right now to turn around and kill us. We've got too many squishies coming up the ramp, not safe from their damage, and I'm terrified that someone's going to get picked off because we're all playing from a very exploitable position. But luckily, we do coordinate the dive, and that breaks open the defense, which is the important thing that I want to note. On any map where there's high ground and a character on the high ground that you want to flush out, dive is still definitely your best call. But then you get into sections of maps where you're mostly fighting on the low ground, and I think that's where D.Va really starts to look weak. When D.Va's exploiting her mobility to jump up, that's when she's insane. But on a straight ground battle, I'm far less convinced. And instead, I advise you to learn Roadhog, who's seeing a resurgence in the meta right now, mostly due to D.Va getting weaker. I mean, combined with Orisa being strong, but he just does so much more in this meta when high ground's not the issue, that I think you're going to see a bigger bang for your buck by playing more Roadhog, Wrecking Ball, or even double shields right now. I think a lot of people think double main tank is just kind of corny and not very good, but in solo queue, when you have two barrier tanks, any of them, there's three, right? Just pick two of them. It's much easier for each one of them individually, out of sync, to make space. Whereas D.Va doesn't work that way. She requires sync with your team to get value, and regardless of how powerful that is or isn't, it's harder to do. I think the easiest way for me to explain this is that D.Va can make a good team much better, but doesn't really carry your way out of having bad teamwork. Now, the concept of teamwork I always want to stress isn't something you can just put on your team. It's on your responsibility to have teamwork, to create it in the team, to facilitate it, to execute it. That's on you. That's something you have to improve as a player. But also at the same time, you have to notice when that's not getting value and you have to do something else. Roadhog can fortify your backline by being a threat and get kills in his own right without needing any help. And a character like Wrecking Ball can play way more obnoxious than D.Va can. D.Va has to sit behind her team and is somewhat beholden to their decision making, whereas if you play Ball, you can make space and big plays without any help from anybody. I mean, if they help you, great, but there's a reason why Wrecking Ball is one of the best solo tank characters in the game. You can still play him without any help. And I know this from watching a lot of your guys' submitted footage, that it can be very easy to fixate on what you assume the correct team play answer is, which sometimes you might even be right, but it ends up being the worst call in the ranked context, outside of scrims and full teams, just based on the difficulty of that strat to execute when everyone isn't on the same page. The replay function is now in the live game, so you guys can watch your gameplay back, and I advise the thing you do to review, which is something that I've taken a lot more seriously with my own gameplay to try to improve it ranked, peaking into top 500 in season 12 and being able to hang in GM for the last handful of seasons, is making sure that the decision that you're making, whatever call it is helping you find an edge in the fight. This might sound like a really obvious thing to say, but it's incredibly complicated and has like millions of permutations. So what you want to do is look back to see how you could have adapted your playstyle to contribute towards something you can actually leverage to create value. The problem that D.Va has right now is because dive isn't OP, which is to say so many characters have cooldowns to protect themselves, survive, crowd control you, run away from you, all of those things. Well, D.Va can't just go at the enemy, which is what she does best. There's way too many things stopping that. So because of that, so much of the gameplay in Overwatch right now is pretty darn slow and methodical, where there's a complex exchange of cooldowns where you apply pressure, look for an opening, then go. Whereas back in the dive era where D.Va was queen, it was all positioning based, where you see a person out of position, you click a button, and they die instantly. Get wrecked. You have bad positioning, you're just gone. Now the game's like in slow motion and compared to that, where what counts as, quote, bad positioning is much different because so many characters have tricks up their sleeves to either get them out or heal themselves, or haha, actually, you think you're going to commit onto me, now I actually can punish you. It's more on that end, right? Where the punishment is on movement commitment, making all the decisions much slower. So because the game's played in this way, D.Va starts to feel like she's spinning plates, which if you don't know what that is, I don't blame you, but it's an analogy that often gets used in reference to something that has difficult multitasking. So D.Va reaches over here, try to get some value. Oh no, we can't. We got to come back. Reaches over there. And through that process of being stretched thin, well, there just isn't enough defense matrix to go around nowadays. Unless there's precise things that you're going to get impact with, you got to stray away from it to something that just has more direct, big impact. In the Clockwork Vendetta video, we showed how they used Maywall to manipulate this slow play style, not even really needing a D.Va. Sure, maybe they have all of these threats, but if they can't stop your halt hooks, you're just going to get kills anyway. That's oftentimes just going to be better than playing the sustained game with D.Va. Or in a lot of cases, 3 DPS is the answer. I mean, this is even at the highest level of play. The funny thing is, I know for certain there's going to be a lot of high-ranked players in the comment section who think I'm just absolutely crazy about the power level of D.Va, and she's definitely the best tank. I mean, if you only play scrims, you might still think that. But even in making that Clockwork Vendetta video, I kind of needed to have my illusions on D.Va's infinite capability shattered a bit, where I asked on Twitter, why does every team play 3 DPS against the Clockwork comp? Well, Jane explains that you want to have enough shield break, then also have a damage threat. So it kind of comes down to the relationship to the bunker meta as a concept, where D.Va doesn't really break the bunker fast enough, as opposed to having your own hog or another damage dealer, to do that playstyle I'm talking about, where you kind of control the map, crossfire, whittle down their shield, now you can exploit it. D.Va's too slow at that, and they're not trying to engage on you anyway, so it's not really like D.Va's gonna peel. And they have too many punishes for D.Va to go aggro. She's like stuck between a rock and a hard place, right? Where if she just has to sit back and shoot, well, why aren't you playing a damage character that just does that better? D.Va has to play skittish against these things. Well, as it turns out, there's plenty of damage characters that do that while being a ranged damage threat. So, complicated stuff, and it'll be really interesting how this pans out if we ever go into a 2-2-2. I originally thought most definitely D.Va would be the de facto off tank in that position, but I'm not sure how I feel about that anymore. Luckily, if you can't just freely put another DPS in that slot, well, you got to pick some tank, right? So maybe D.Va would still be the queen, but I'm not so sure in ranked, because I still think the tanks that deathmatch better will probably fit on the current patch if we were just to lock the roles tomorrow, but we'll have to see. You'd have to imagine that some serious rebalancing were to come into effect. But I originally thought Hog was going to need buffs to compete with D.Va, but turns out they just nerfed D.Va enough where that's not the case. Really interesting stuff. I'm excited to hear what you guys have to say in the comment section down below. But that's going to be everything for today's video. I hope it did help you out in realizing where D.Va is still good, but other skill sets you might want to consider for success in ranked. If you enjoyed the video, please be sure to leave it a like. It really does help us out and lets us know that you're enjoying the content. And if you haven't already, please subscribe and be sure to hit the bell icon so that you get notified when our videos go live. Link to the description is our Twitter, where we tweet out news, updates, and dank memes. That's been it for me. I've been Freedo for your Overwatch. See you guys next time.